But I did because I had to be reminded that I'm not in the position to criticize what Israel does. If it were me, I would have blown the whole place up, which is why I'm not in a position of leadership.
All right, so this guy right here is Satan. I'm not kidding with you. All right, I am not joking. It is not satire. It is not just trying to be funny or trying to get clicks. I truly believe this ugly guy right here is from Satan himself. All right, so we're gonna have to put politics aside for a second, all right? Because when it comes to trying to politicize and justifying killing innocent people, and once again, I want to make this clear, I don't care what the conflict is. I don't care who's versus who or they versus them. I do not care. All right? Point blank simple. I do not care what the reasoning is. Killing innocent people is evil. I know the whole conversation around it's war, that's collateral damage. I get that. But to a certain extent, and the numbers do not lie, it starts to become your goal. And if you find yourself thinking that's okay, all right, I'm going to try to make this as plain and simple as possible. So there's no reading in between the lines. You can't misquote me. You can't assume what I'm saying. I am telling you right here from the bottom of my heart. Okay, I say this with every fiber of my being. Okay, I mean this as much as I can express this. If you think killing innocent people is okay, you are Satan himself. You are the definition of evil. No joking. All jokes aside. No political point behind that. All right. You are evil. Point blank, period. Simple. All right. I understand, and I didn't want to make a video talking about the year anniversary of October 7th. There's plenty of video, plenty of content to let you know what happened. All right. I felt like I didn't need to add on to that. All right. This channel, this YouTube channel is not aimed to just farm for views. I tell you what I want to tell you and when I want to tell you. But after seeing Fox News and Jesse Waters and all those idiots, it's like now I need to speak because I need to combat Satan. Okay, and there's plenty of times where Satan will tell you who he is and why he is there. All right, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
Israel marking 1 year since Hamas launched their horrific and barbaric October 7th attacks, which saw 1,200 innocent Israelis slaughtered and making it the deadliest day for the Jewish people since the Holocaust.
Now, once again, to compare October 7th to the Holocaust, to me, is disingenuous as you can be. I'm no Holocaust expert. I just know the information that is provided to me. It was approximately 6 million Jewish people killed in like what, a 5-year span in many different ways. All right. It was horrific. No doubt about that. But to compare October 7th to the Holocaust is disingenuous. There's just the way that you frame it is disingenuous, because it would have people thinking who don't really know a lot of information of the matter, thinking that millions of Jewish people died on October 7th. Once again, no innocent people should have died. Actually, I got the numbers here for you. And this is as of October 3rd, 2024. So if you're watching this a year or 5 years later, you kind of know the context. About 1,200 people, Israelis, died. And that includes about 800 civilians and 346 IDF soldiers and 66 police officers. So you're able to narrow down how many of those approximately were civilians and how many of them were soldiers. Once again, no innocent civilians should be a target for anyone on any side. But to compare that to the Holocaust, where they were all civilians and innocent people, that's disingenuous, bro. Come on, let's put a little bit more effort into our commentary here.
Vice President Harris and Second Gentleman Imhoff marking the grim anniversary by planting a pomegranate tree at their residence, a fruit that symbolizes good wishes for the new year in Judaism. However, Vice President Harris is taking some criticism over what she said on 60 Minutes about Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Watch this.
Do we have a real close ally in Prime Minister Netanyahu?
I think, with all due respect, the better question is, do we have an important alliance between the American people and the Israeli people? And the answer to that question is yes.
Greg.
And in my opinion, that was a politician speaking, all right? Because I'm pretty sure if it was a regular person, you would frame that as a regular person. But okay, she's a politician. But I think that was the best answer she can give, in a sense of our alliance is with the civilians and not necessarily the government, which is by any means stretch of the imagination free from criticism. They have broken international law in on out. You can just pick any point out this year and just blindfold and just pick a day, and they probably broke some law at some point on that day. So I think she did a pretty decent job of saying, hey, we are allied with the Israeli citizens and not more so the government. And, that's pretty good
She
job.
decided to recast the question. Might have been best that she just answered the question yes or no, then recast. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I mean, I don't care about that, really. I would rather talk about what's going on today.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. There are protesters at Wall Street, at Columbia, 1,000 of them. Anti-Israeli protesters on the year anniversary.
Anti-Israeli. Oh my God. His face is punchable. All right. I don't want to get in trouble by YouTube. I don't want to be trying to incite violence. So this ugly guy right here has some nerve to try to frame it as these people who are protesting for obvious reasons, but the way that you want to try to critique that is once again in a disingenuous way to fit your narrative. They're not against Israeli citizens. They're obviously in protest of the Israeli government and the U.S. participation in this genocide. Just go out there and ask. It's not rocket science. Look this up. It's really simple to understand.
Did you ever think you'd see that in America? Protesting against the victims of the worst act of terror that we've seen with our own eyes. The evidence is there. You can easily look it up. Women raped, babies murdered in front of their parents.
Which a lot of that was debunked. But of course, we live in a civilization where facts don't matter. Just whatever you're feeling at that moment, if it's true or not, that's your truth. That's unfortunately the society that we live in.
Yet somehow people can get up out of bed, put on their clothes, go outside, and mark that event by cheering for their killers. We used to always reflexively worry about Islamophobia. Now we just stand silently by while Islamist terror is championed in our streets. What door have we opened here? It's hard to look back on October 7th, but you should. You should look at the photos with fresh eyes. It's going to ruin your day. But I did because I had to be reminded that I'm not in the position to criticize what Israel does. If it were me, I would have blown the whole place up, which is why I'm not in a position of leadership. You know, if Israel wants to eliminate all of Hamas, Hezbollah, you do it. You do Israel. Because my feeling is no one can look at those photos of October 7th and then go out in March.
All right. So this guy right here is Satan. I'm not kidding with you. All right. I am not joking. It is not satire. It is not just trying to be funny or trying to get clicks. I truly believe this ugly guy right here is from Satan himself. For anyone to sit here and try to lie and say, hey, if Israel wants to kill Hamas, go ahead and kill. Who is Hamas? Tell me what their uniforms look like. Tell me how you can identify from a Palestinian person to Hamas. Now, once you do that, now tell me from as of now, approximately, and this not including the people who are still under hundreds of tons of rubble, okay, 41,788 people were killed in Gaza. 96,700 approximately were injured. Is that all Hamas? Is their army, is their government that deep? That's how many people were Hamas? No. Short answer is no. So you have the audacity to sit here and use Hamas as a justification to kill as many Palestinian people as possible? Anyone who is okay with killing innocent people is evil. They are Satan. I don't know how many times I need to say that. That's who they are.
So they're not. They're in a state of denial. And anybody who questions the support for Israel and saying it's nuanced, remember that there are Americans who also died on October 7th. There are ones that are still hostages there. And as long as that's the case, we're in. You know, remember what we gave up for Brittany Griner. We traded an arms dealer for her, and he's already back arms dealing. So we paid a lot for that hostage. You know, we shouldn't treat any of the hostages any less just because, you know, they aren't a WNBA player.
Dana, what are your thoughts?
Once again, what are you talking about? You're literally comparing apples to oranges. How many people, how many of the thousands killed in the example you just brought up? Okay, man.
So in this solemn day.
Well, you mentioned that she recast the question, but she could have recast it in a different way too, which is to do what I think would have been the correct thing to do. Always, as I learned, you praise your allies in public and you criticize in private. And she could have said, I've had those conversations with the leader who is trying to do his best to protect his country. And as a leader of this country, I would do the same. And I would make sure we were on offense against terrorism. You will not have to have a restless night if I'm your commander in chief, because I will protect us. There's lots of.
And once again, that would be the worst answer. Once again, people want transparency. People don't want this whole, hey, tell us what you want to tell us in public, but then behind closed doors, you're really handling business and blah, blah. We don't want to hear that. I want to hear what you're telling him behind closed doors. This ain't the 1980s or 1970s. Like, no, we need to be able to trust our government as much as possible, which is, I know is a hard thing to do, but we need to be able to at least trust our government with something. And the only way to do that is to be as transparent as possible. So if you don't agree with how the Israeli government is handling this war, then tell us that. Let us know exactly where you stand, and then let the chips fall where they may. But none of this whole secretive, I'm going to tell the people what they want to hear, but then behind closed door, it's a complete 180. That's not how you build trust with your people, with the American citizens. That's not how you do it.
The ways that you could have recast it, she decided not to. I wish that we could understand as a country, and I'm thinking of those protesters too, that what do they want? What does victory look like to them? And
it's simple. You don't have to look too far to get the answer. We want a ceasefire and to stop the stopping of killing innocent people. To ceasefire, stop killing innocent people, and let these Palestinian people, let the Arab people just live their life. That means ending occupation. That means exiting out your military bases, whatever you want to call them. That means retreating your people out of territory, areas that does not belong to you, which, I mean, that's a whole nother conversation on its own. But just for the sake of conversation, let these people live. That's it. Those three, if you can bring those three things, I could guarantee it will be at least on a path of peace. But until those three things are not happening, which mainly all of them are kind of important, but that third one, you're not going to be at peace, because you're continuing to foster people who are going to want to take action against occupation. That's simple. I don't understand why it's rocket science with some of these people. It's simple to understand.
To me, victory is the goal, to stamp out terrorism, and then peace is possible after you achieve the victory. That's the other thing. And I also think that the way that 60 Minutes asked a question, they asked another one in which he asked, is Netanyahu listening to you? It's a great question, because if they think that he's done all of these bad things, that means that the Biden-Harris administration has been completely ineffective from the beginning. Last thing I would say is Tom Cotton tweeted last week, I served with Kamala Harris on the Intelligence Committee for 4 years. She was just as reckless and naive about national security in private as she has been as vice president. If you take that comment with what Andrea Mitchell was saying about the business community not taking her seriously, now you have the two main pillars, the economy and national security, with people not taking you seriously. I'd have answered it differently.
You know what? If being not taken seriously means is on the standards of you not wanting to continue to fund and acknowledge and accept and to promote killing of innocent people, hey, I would rather vote for that naive person than someone who feels like they're actually doing something and being literally naive to what's going on the other side of the world. Essentially that whole out of sight, out of mind type thing, is easy to be that person until you're actually in that position. So I don't care. I don't care what people think. I don't care if whoever X person says, oh, Kamala Harris. I don't care. I just want someone who's going to end this as soon as possible. But unfortunately, I don't think the Democratic Party has enough balls to do something like that. So, that's...
Judge, your thoughts?
There has been a 200% rise in anti-Semitic hatred and hate crimes in the United States in the last year. And on a solemn day like today, I think we need to recognize that given that that's going on in the United States of America, and given that they are stopping Jewish students from going on campus and going to school on campus.
Which also was debunked, but Of course, no one cares about facts.
This is where their parents paid for their education. We have to recognize that this administration is not supporting Jewish students and Jews in America right now, because it's not just a question of the war, it's a question of the political culture, where the White House comes out and says, you're not going to do this. You're not going to create this hatred toward Jews in this country. But, you know, I think that I would have asked a follow-up question if she refused to answer the question about whether or not Netanyahu was a close ally of the United States.
What would you
I
say?
might have said to her, well, is there someone else in the Middle East that you consider an ally of the United States? Who in the Middle East is an ally? Because, and we all know this, elections have consequences. And the Middle East was at peace after the Abraham Accords. And
Wow. Okay. You know what? It's hard to have serious conversations with people who do not care about history. Read a few books, read a few articles from credible sources. You're stupid. Yeah, I wish I could say more. I know I sound probably like a middle schooler. You know, you're stupid, but like I can't say the things that I want to say because I will get banned from YouTube. All right. If you think anything like this, if you are cheering on this massacre, if you are aligned with killing as many people because they're Hamas without any end goal, without any precision in this war, but your only, I guess, tactic is to just bomb as many places as possible, you are Satan. You are evil, and you're the reason why there could never be rest here on earth. All right. I'm just gonna leave it with this quote. This is from Jesus. Was it John 8:44? I think this is. And for those who don't know, I used to be a youth pastor, so you know I am heavily in my Bible. And when I first heard them talk about this is the first verse that came into my mind. It says, "You are of your father, the devil, and the desires of your father you want to do. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in truth because there is no truth in him. When he speaks a lie, he speaks from his own resources, for he is a liar and the father of it." That's literally these people. And when I say these people, anyone who has a desire to murder, for those who have a desire to lie, you are from your father, Satan. Amen and God bless. But once again, if you think I'm wrong, if you think killing innocent people because they might be Hamas is okay, you're Satan, first off. But let me know in the comments down below. And I would rebuke you in the name of Jesus. And let's have that conversation.